Will Gray and Calvin's relationship survive the challenges of her family's visit and the upcoming ceremony? What surprises await them? Hey guys, are you ready for an epic wolf love story? Subscribe now to join Gray and Calvin's journey. 47 Have you spoken to Ben? I ask softly, afraid that speaking his name may cause Calvin to freak out. Calvin's eyes run over my face and his jaw clenches and unclenches. I have. Why do you ask? His tongue darts out and cleans his lower lip. I watch the tenseness of his shoulders as he takes in a deep breath and lets it out ever so slowly. He is agitated, but not to the point where he won't discuss the topic. Well, he isn't dead, so I figured you either haven't spoken to him and you're waiting for him to make a wrong move, or he is innocent. I chew on my bottom lip and reach my hand across the table to hold his. Softly, his thumb runs over my knuckles and he lets out a sigh of relief. Is this your way of asking if you can talk to him, little wolf? My nickname rolls off his tongue like silk, and I inhale slowly. The thickness of his voice is telling me that he doesn't want me to go. Is this your way of telling me you want me to stay? I raise an eyebrow and give him a playful grin. Calvin raises a brow at me and smiles back. I do get lonely, he admits. I roll my eyes at him and feel the squeeze of his hand on mine. 1 hour. That's it. You can get some work done, and I won't be far away, I pout. Ben is like my only friend here, I just want to talk. Calvin lets out a sigh in defeat. Fine, he shrugs his shoulders. I need to get caught up on work. He agrees, stabbing a piece of his food on his fork and putting it into his mouth. I'm glad you're being so easygoing. I mumble, reaching over my plate and stealing a bite of his food. Easy woman, we aren't married yet. He chuckles, referring to the fact I stole food from his plate. I give him an innocent smile and pop the food into my mouth. Yet? I repeat, the smile on his face grows wider and the thoughts he has fill my mind. I momentarily shut my eyes and let it sink in. Well, he says softly, running his thumb over my knuckles. Until then, I'll still treat you as if you are, because eventually it will be a thing. He pops a piece of his food into his mouth and lets out a soft breath. I love you. I giggle, tugging my hand back to my side of the table and take a bite of my own food. Calvin had insisted on taking me out for dinner, because he didn't want to cook. The food is to die for, but I enjoy the quality time talking more than anything. And I love you, Gray. He replies, looking into my eyes. The deep brown color studies me. Takes me in. I feel frozen under his gaze. So much. For a while, we eat in silence, enjoying each other's company. The sound of people and families chatting around us fills my ears, and the soft sounds of silverware hitting the plates is in the air. Calvin breaks the silence as I take the last bite of my food. How mad would you be if I told you that your ceremony is in a week? I wipe my mouth with my napkin and knot my eyebrows. Ceremony? I ask, unsure what he means by that. He blinks like I'm joking. When I don't respond, he lets out an exaggerated sigh. The ceremony as in becoming Luna. Queen. Does that ring a bell? He gives me a gentle smile, but the way he's talking makes me think he's talking like I'm stupid. I blow out a soft breath. I trail off and look out the window. I ready? I mean, I was the day I gave myself to Calvin, but I don't think that the ceremony is what I need. However, I have to do this as his mate. Yeah, Calvin. That's fine. I shrug my shoulders. It'd be nice to know what's going on in advance. I grin, but I'm ready, Cal. I'm sure you won't let me mess up. He gives me a smile. No, I wouldn't let you embarrass yourself, baby. He chuckles. I also invited your family to stay at the house until then. I shoot my eyes up to meet his and my jaw nearly falls to the floor. What? I can't tell if I'm excited or pissed off. I mean, I love my family and love being around them, but they are staying for a week. Calvin and Ren hardly get along. My mom has a tiny baby that will be crying most of the time, and to top it all off, that means Cal and I can't just do it any time we want to. I thought you'd be happy. He knots his eyebrows in confusion. I am happy. You're the one that's going to be unhappy when they get here. I shrug. Calvin purses his lips. Why do you say that, love? He presses his elbow on the table and sets his chin in his hand. His eyes concentrate on me, thinking of every possible thing that I can say. You don't like babies. I point out. Cal raises an eyebrow. Correction, I do like babies, just not other people's. He shrugs. You make no sense. I laugh and roll my eyes. Calvin chuckles. If you were going to tell me that I'm going to be unhappy when your parents get into town because we won't be sleeping with each other, you're very wrong. He says. I start to frown at his admission. I'll keep them occupied, and you'll just have to be quiet. He winks. I mean, unless you want them to hear, then by all means please scream my name. I don't mind. I pull my bottom lip between my teeth and look Calvin's features over. When are they coming? They'll be here around 4. They are taking a flight. I'll go pick them up from the airport and be back before you wake up. He grins. You're really bad about giving me heads up, why I know. Speaking of head, do you want some? He winks. I gulp and turn my attention to the window. He hums. Quietly I kick his shin under the table and shake my head. Maybe when we get home. 48. If you need anything, I'm just upstairs. Calvin's mind links with mine only long enough to assure me that he's here if the conversation gets awkward or I just need him. Benjamin and I sit across from each other in the kitchen, both of us waiting patiently to hear the door to Calvin's office shut. Once the familiar click of the latch hits my ears, I let out a sigh in relief. I'm sorry if I scared you, Gray. Ben says gingerly, adjusting his hands on the table. I didn't mean to make you think I was a threat, I just wholeheartedly wanted to take the two of you out and let you guys have fun and relax. He blows out a soft breath. Technically, it was never me afraid of you, Ben. I give him a smile. I trust you, you're my friend. Don't ever think I won't believe you. Ben smiles back as relief washes over him. Are you excited? Ben asks, changing the subject and going back to his normal self. I look him over and watch him physically relax before me. The large smile on his face doesn't disappear, but seems to only get bigger. Nervous, yes. I admit, focusing my attention onto my nails. Excited probably isn't the word that I would use. Why do you say that, Gray? Ben asks, knotting his eyebrows and leaning against the table. Curiosity gets to him, and now I have to respond. Even though I don't want to. I don't know, I shrug. I'm just not big with being the leader or crowds. And I guess eventually everyone will be expecting the Luna to be expecting, and I'm just not ready for that kind of pressure on my shoulders. I chew on the inside of my cheek. How am I supposed to take care of not one pack, but almost 20? I can't even take care of a goldfish for 3 days without it dying. I run my hands through my hair. What if I mess up? Calvin won't let you mess, you, Gray. Ben says softly. But even he has messed up, and then they're figured out. He assures me. I look up at him quietly. Pressure is something that takes some getting used to, and you just have to learn to not give into it. Ben says softly. You'll make a great Luna, Gray. Calvin is mean, and he needs you to have a heart to some of these people. Ben gives me a playful smile. He's not that mean. I roll my eyes. I've heard so many stories about Calvin being mean, but I've only witnessed it once with my own eyes. Even then it wasn't Calvin. His wolf was pissed off about something and he took it out on me. He's not mean to you because he gets as out of you. Ben defends with a pout. I laugh at what he says and shake my head. You may be right. I shrug. But if we are on the subject, he takes a lot of his anger out of me. I really appreciate your sacrifice, because he's been really nice to me lately. Ben chuckles, pushing his hand out of his face. I'm only nice to you because you have yet to get on my nerves. Calvin mutters, walking into the kitchen. His eyes rake over me for a minute, before he quietly tugs the sleeve of my shirt back onto my shoulder. Well, his shirt. The collar is quite big and tends to slip off. I look up at him and knot my eyebrows. Are you finished already? I blink and look over at the clock on the wall. It's only been half an hour since he started. I got hungry, he shrugs, and I can't concentrate. His eyes meet mine and I blow out a soft breath. I still smell like I'm in heat, I guess. So I'll have to make a rain check and start tomorrow. He sighs. So, do you want me to go or? Ben asks, feeling the pressure between Calvin and I. I can feel the jealousy washing over Cal, and I hate that he's like that towards Ben. Ben is my friend, and I could never do anything like that. Yes? Calvin says without hesitation. Yet, at the same time I reply with the opposite answer. No? I say sternly. Looking over I glare at Calvin. He just got here, don't be so rude. Calvin gives me a look in response, and I watch his nostrils flare in annoyance. I'm going to go, I have a date I have to be at in half an hour anyways. Ben trials off. He stands to his feet and slips out the door without another word. I clench my jaw together and look at Calvin. He stares back at me with an equally annoyed look resting on his features. You said you'd give me an hour. I say when I hear the front door shut. An hour to talk to my only friend. An hour to let Calvin get whatever he needs done, and an hour for me to enjoy my time without him. An hour was all I was asking. If I know you'd be back in fucking heat again so early, I wouldn't have agreed to it. Calvin seethes. I rake my eyes over him. Everything in me is wanting me to jump on him, but I have self-control. Lots of it. Ben would never do anything. I huff out annoyed. Why can't I beat it into your hard head that I will never even think about being with someone else other than you? I run my hands through my hair and let out a frustrated sigh. I'm not leaving my mate unattended with an unmated wolf. I glare at him. I know you would never even do that, because I have a hard enough time getting in your pants. He huffs. But that doesn't mean a wolf won't force his way. Ben would never do that though. I argue. I cross my arms over my chest and stand to my feet. Calvin has already pissed me off. You'd be surprised what a wolf will do when one's in heat. Calvin says ruggedly. I clench my jaw. I already fucking know. Because clearly it drives you insane. Calvin lets out a huff of annoyance. I yell in surprise when he lifts me off my feet and starts to carry me to the bedroom. What the fuck? I beat on his back, trying to break free from his grasp. I'm going to fuck you now, Gray. His nostrils flare. I swallow, hard. Roughly, his large hands toss me onto the bed, and I'm pinned underneath him. The feeling of his body weight against mine is enough to set me on fire. You can't just tell me that you're going to sleep with me, Cal. You're supposed to have my consent. My voice trails off as his lips crash against mine. My eyes shut and I dig my fingers into his hair, scraping his scalp. I don't know why I've been fighting Calvin. Because now that he has told me what he wants, and he's putting it into action. I can't exactly go against him. Because I crave him like a plant craves water. I hear the tearing of fabric, and whimper when I realize that the shirt I had been wearing has been ripped from my body. Calvin must be really sexually frustrated with me. He reaches for my sports bra and I quickly stop him. I actually like this thing, so don't destroy it, yes. It better be taken off quick. He mumbles. I let out a sigh in defeat, and with his help I tug it over my head, and toss it somewhere on the ground. Instantly he focuses his attention on my neck, trailing hot open-mouthed kisses over my chest. A gasp escapes my lips as his tongue darts out and flicks over the tip of one of my buds. My hands tremble as I reach between us and carefully unbutton his jeans. As soon as they are released, Calvin kicks them off and lets out a relieved sigh. Thanks, baby, he chuckles, pressing his mouth back against my neck. They were starting to get a little too tight. I giggle when his fingers run over my side where I'm ticklish. I cup his cheeks and lift his face until it's inches from mine. What? He knots his eyebrows in confusion. I look at how swollen his lips are, and the fire in his eyes. Every breath he takes is quick and heavy. He's aching. My fingers scrape over the form of a beard starting to grow on his cheeks. He shuts his eyes and takes in a deep breath, calming under my touch. Cal, look at me. I exhale softly, rubbing my thumb over his bottom lip. His dark eyes snap open and he looks down at me. Yes, baby. He asks, gently he rubs his fingers over the mark on my neck. This time, my eyes flutter. I don't want to just sleep with you. I admit. I watch his features fall into one of disappointment. Although I'm laying beneath him in nothing but a pair of shorts, I don't want to just fuck him. I won't do anything you don't want me to. He assures me, pressing a kiss against my forehead. I want you to, Cal, I say softly, bringing my lips to his. He inhales deeply, as if he's afraid to kiss me back. Once he does, I pull my lips only inches from his. I want you to make love to me. I whisper, bringing my lips back to his. I hear the beating of his heart quicken as the words sink in. He kisses me back. Slowly, tenderly. As if any false move is going to break me into a million pieces. This kiss isn't comparable to any other one that we have shared. There's so much emotion in it. It isn't tongue-tied, or raw with bites. It's just kisses. Love-filled, passionate kisses. Slowly, his hand trails down my cheek and rests on the base of my throat. The single movement lights my body on fire. Every inch of my skin is itching to be touched by him. Carefully, he cups my breasts in his hands and inhales deeply. Ogni polis di voi quello che ho spesso deceni in attesa. Sono cos innamorata di te, piccolo lupo. Che hai ottenuto sotto la mia pelle. His voice is soft as his warm breath hits the mark on my neck. I love you too. I whisper, inhaling sharply when I feel the prick of his canines in my skin. He takes his time with me. I hardly realize when Cal has us both bare from any of our clothes. A warmth spreads through me as my body continues to ache for him. He flips us, resting his back against the headboard. I feel him underneath me, but I can't get to him. My hips buck, and his mouth connects with a swollen bud on my chest. I bury my hands in his hair, tugging him ever so closer to my chest. Hoping that he can itch the spot that I can't. Calvin blindly slides his hands underneath my butt and lifts me. Carefully, he positions my body with his, and with his guidance I ease my way onto his very stiff sex. I exhale slowly, biting my lip because it still hurts taking all of him in. I'm sorry. He whispers against my chest. He stays still until my body gets used to the sheer size of him, and once he's sure I'm ready, he gently lifts my thighs and pulls my body back down against him. His name leaves my lips in a pant, as he guides me over, and over again, until eventually I'm left to do it on my own. Loud groans mix with his growls against my skin as our bodies collide. I dig my nails into his shoulders to try and balance myself. I want to watch him come undone because of me, but I physically cannot keep my eyes open long enough for that. I arch my back and buck my hips when he drives himself into a sensitive spot. Fuck, I curse under my breath, panting and speeding up what I'm doing. Calvin's hands grip my hips and yank me back against him with a strength I didn't know he had. His teeth sink into the mark on my neck, and it drives me over the edge. I release myself around him, feeling my body hold onto him. Milking him. He groans, throwing his head back, and he fills me with hot ropes of his orgasm. I shake, feeling the aftermath and having no energy left. Calvin sits up breathlessly and rubs his nose between the mounds on my chest. He leaves an open mouth kiss these and sighs. As much as I'd like to make this an all-night event, I have to go and pick up your family, and you have to wake up before noon. He chuckles. His hands slip underneath my butt and he gently pulls me off of him and rests me on his stomach. I sigh in defeat. Cupping Calvin's cheeks, I lift his face to mine and give him a rough kiss. I hope you enjoyed, Calvin. It's off limits while my family is around. I mumble, pressing a kiss against his nose. Calvin chuckles. We'll see about that. 49. As the sun pours into the bedroom, I lie in bed thinking. Calvin's hand is sprawled out over my back and my leg is hanging over his hip. The sound of his steady breathing lets me know that he has yet to wake up. A week from now, I won't just be his. Instead, I'll be the pack's. The pack members will depend on me like I'm their mother and they are my children. More of my time will be taken from Cal and replaced with duties. I will be Luna. His Luna. I'll be expected to do things I've never even been able to do in a group project. Lead? The thought alone terrifies me, because I am no leader. I'm a follower. Calvin buries his head into my neck and inhales deeply. Good morning, beautiful. He murmurs. I shut my eyes and can't help but smile at what he had said. His hand trails down and gently plays with the hem of my panty line. Your family talks a lot. He mumbles into my skin. I'm sure they won't be awake for another hour or two. He presses a kiss against my cheek and I sigh. Did they bring the baby along? I ask tiredly, pulling back far enough to see Cal's face. He gives me a tired smile. Yes, baby. They brought your little brother. Will you shower with me? He asks, pressing a kiss against my forehead. Looking up at Calvin, I knot my eyebrows. I give him a quick kiss on his chin before making a smart comment. Just because you wake up with a boner, doesn't mean that I do. He gives me a smile and rolls his eyes. That is a blessing and a curse. But no, Gray. I didn't intend of having my way with you in the shower. I just wanted to spend some time with you before your family steals you from me. He chuckles, bringing his lips to the corner of my mouth. I move and our lips collide in a gentle kiss. Before I know it, I'm pinned underneath Calvin. He breaks away from me, giving me time to catch my breath. I don't need to give him a solid answer to let him know that I'm all for the idea. Just simply relaxing under the shower and rinsing off the events of last night is enough to make me want to shower. Having Cal there is just an added bonus. I'll get the water ready. He smiles, kissing my forehead. Fuck, I curse under my breath as I watch Calvin walk towards the bathroom. Scratches cover his upper back and biceps. Some of them are still raw and rigid. What? He asks, chuckling. I know it has to at least burn. If not when he gets under the water. He turns to me and scratches the side of his hickey-covered neck. I want to ask him if he's all right, But I know he is and I don't want to hear a snide comment come from him right now. Just please wear a shirt while everyone's here, yeah. He blinks at me. Well, that's not very fun. His bottom lip pokes out. I quietly stand to my feet and drag myself towards the bathroom. Calvin turns his back to me again, switching the shower on and letting out a sigh. You shouldn't be so ashamed of you being with me, why I know. I look up at him and knot my eyebrows. I'm not, Cal. It's just not a subject I like talking about in front of my family. I blink. He turns to me and his eyes run over my almost bare body. Don't deny it if they ask. He says softly, pressing a kiss to my nose. My wolf isn't too fond of that. I roll my eyes and kiss his cheek. He doesn't like anything I do. I mumble, feeling Calvin's fingers grip my sports bra, and he tugs it over my head. I beg to differ. Cal smirks and kisses me gently. Rolling my eyes, I look up at with a goofy grin on my face. What? He knots his eyebrows, not breaking eye contact with me. I don't know, I shrug, you're just in a really good mood. Calvin shrugs his shoulders in response. I'm not stressing about anything. He presses a kiss to my cheek and lets his breath fan against my ear. And I did just get some really great sex. I slap his chest and he chuckles. Okay, can you turn around so I can take my pants off and get into the shower? I bat my eyelashes and feel the heat rising to my cheeks. You act like I haven't had my face between your legs and had you coming around my tongue. Looking up at Calvin, I swallow. The amused smirk on his face lets me know he knows what he's doing to me. If my parents weren't in the same house as us, I'd probably be all over him right now. Calvin, before you try and get me hot and frustrated, I gently reach forward and dip my hand into his boxers. Just remember, it's a lot easier to hide my arousal than it is for you, yes. I press a quick kiss to his chest when I hear him growl in frustration. Cal grips the hem of my underwear and pushes them from my legs. You enjoy teasing me, yes. Almost as much as you love teasing me. I grin, grabbing his hand and tugging him into the shower with me. When I get downstairs, I'm the only one up. I try to be as quiet as possible as I start a pot of coffee and lean against the counter. I'm mentally preparing myself for everything my family is going to ask me. Mostly, I'm preparing myself for the embarrassing things they are going to tell Calvin about me. Like when I went through my anime phase. I run my fingers through my hair and exhale slowly. I'm more than happy that my family is here, but I'm also a nervous wreck. I haven't been able to prepare myself for this. Hey baby, Cal says softly in the doorway. He's fully dressed and has a pair of shoes on. I knot my eyebrows. I'm going to run up to the store to get some breakfast, I'll be right back. I look him over and give him a gentle smile. Okay, just be careful, yes. He walks over to me and presses a kiss to my forehead. Always, he grins. Now don't let them start bringing up anything embarrassing until I'm here to hear it. The teasing smirk on his lips makes me want to slap him, but I roll my eyes and kiss him on the lips briefly. He leaves shortly after. The bond instantly begins when his car leaves the driveway. I sigh. We are hardly ever apart now, and I don't mind it at all. If someone told me that was the ruthless alpha king everyone was talking about, I wouldn't believe it. My mom's voice fills my ears. I shoot my head around and look at my mom with a huge grin on my face. Mom? I exclaim, throwing my arms around her neck and pulling her into a tight hug. She laughs and squeezes me tighter in her arms. She pulls back and takes me in. All of me. Last night Calvin was nice enough to not leave bites where people could see, and kept it well hidden under my bra. Her eyes shine bright. Oh? Honey! She exclaims, running her hand over the mark on my neck. This is great. Why didn't you call and tell me? She knots her eyebrows. I shrug my shoulders. Oh, this. I rub my neck. I thought I did. I lie through my teeth. Truth is, he marked me to help ease my heat, and it was in the moment. I didn't want to tell her when and why it happened. She doesn't need to know the details. You probably did, she smiles. I swear it's like after you have kids you tend to forget about everything. I can't help but laugh and shake my head. You better start writing everything down. I joke. Mom makes a snorting noise and looks around the kitchen. This house is beautiful, she changes the subject so easily. Her hand drags over the counter and she sighs. This is like a Pinterest house, she exclaims. I roll my eyes. Mom? Oh? If I were you I would put so many ideas to life here. You could put a rack here and a shelf over there, oh, and over there you could eventually do a height chart if you ever have kids, and oh my gosh. We could do Christmas here, and we could have such a beautiful tree, and Mom. I exclaim, stopping her in her tracks. She tends to get carried away sometimes, and right now I don't think I need to offer her any fresh brewed coffee. Can you please just relax? It's too early for this. That would be a wonderful idea. I inhale sharply when arms wrap around my neck. Calvin press a kiss to my cheek, and I let out a slow breath. I look over my shoulder at him and raise an eyebrow. Donuts are on the counter, love. So, Mrs. Hendricks, how did you sleep? Calvin asks. He releases me from his grip, and I instantly open the box of donuts and pick the one that piques my interest. Then, I hold the box out for my mom, who declines. Please just call me Jenny, or Mom. I don't care, and I slept like a baby. She smiles. Calvin gives one of his heart-stopping smiles to my mom, and even though it's my mom, my wolf is going wild. I'm glad to hear that. Please feel free to do whatever here. Mi casa es su casa. He grins. Mom knots her eyebrows and looks at me. What? I roll my eyes and give her a playful grin. That's the easiest thing to translate. He said, my house is your house. I giggle. She nods her head slowly. Ah, so you've been teaching my daughter Spanish. Mom smiles proudly. Calvin nods. Yes. Bits and pieces. And Italian, and some language I can't even pronounce. Impressive. Mom comments, grinning. I take a bite of my donut and climb into one of the stools. Jealousy burns me like no other. I can't believe the way I'm feeling towards my own mother. I know Calvin would never do such a thing, and neither would my mom. It's just killing me that she's getting most of his attention. How was your flight? I ask, watching my mother intently. I'm sure Calvin, her, and Ren had this conversation only hours ago. Mom smiles. Wonderful. You know I've never ridden first class, and I don't think I could ever not now. I look at Cal, who looks back at me with guilt in his eyes. He's putting in so much effort to make a good impression. It's really working. It is grand, isn't it? Calvin smiles. Gray and I are thinking about a trip to Cancun sometime this summer. It would be so wonderful if you and Ren could make it. I turn to Calvin in complete shock. Cancun. I link to Calvin. This is the first that I'm hearing about it. Cal reaches out and grabs my hand in his. That sounds like so much fun, but I think the first vacation as a couple should be spent together and not as a group. She smiles. A wave of relief washes over me. I love my mom to death, but family vacations turn into a mission instead of relaxing. Good morning, Ren's groggy voice fills the room. Calvin gently leans his head down to my ear and whispers in my ear. Jealously smells divine. He nudges his nose against my cheek and I growl lowly, pushing him away. "Good morning," I exclaim, brushing off Cal's snide comment and jumping to my feet to give him a hug. "How'd you sleep?" "Almost as good as Liam. Poor boy is exhausted." He beams. Now I can feel Calvin's eyes on me. I bet. I can't wait for him to wake up so I can hold and love on my baby brother. I grin. Ren messes up my hair and grins. He won't be the only baby for long, yes. He knots his eyebrows and the smile on his face only grows wider. "Mom, you better not already be pregnant." I turn to her and give a playful grin, because I don't plan on that for a long time. Mom rolls her eyes. "That's exactly what I said before I had you." She winks. There's a lump forming in my chest and I swallow nothing. "How have things been back at your place?" Calvin asks, taking the attention off of me. I can't help but notice how Ren and Calvin stare at each other for a brief moment, looking as if they are about to kill each other. "Oh, wonderful. Liam is such a good baby, he hardly ever cries for no reason." Some new couple moved in next door to us. I think their last name was Xander, or something like that. She smiles. Mom turns to Ren and starts up a conversation. Once they are distracted, I look at Calvin and glare. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" He sighs in defeat, and reluctantly follows me out of the kitchen. He presses a hand against my butt and I quickly grab his wrist. "Are you two already on bad terms?" I ask, looking up at him with disappointment in my eyes. His smile drops from his face and he frowns. "No, Gray. He was just giving me the basic dad speech." He mumbles softly. "And I'm sure you thought it would be fine to remind him how old you are, correct?" I frown. Calvin sigh in defeat. "Baby, it just bothers me so much." He cups my cheeks, and I let out a frustrated breath. "Can you just put up with it for 1 week? I'm sure the two of you have so much in common. I mean, you both love rules." I give him a gentle smile at the end. Cal sighs in defeat. "Anything for you, mi amore." He leans forward and presses a kiss to my cheek. 50. There will be more chapters since I couldn't get to the conclusion soon enough. "Are you sure you can handle him?" Mom asks, looking him over and pulling her bottom lip between her teeth. I turn to look over my shoulder and smile. Calvin is holding Liam in his arms, carefully swaying back and forth with a huge grin on his lips. He feels me staring at him and looks up, giving me a wide smile. Since my parents have been here for 2 days, Calvin has gotten used to holding Liam. Cal is always wary of being around babies, only because of how fragile they are. He's never actually been around such a young baby, let alone have gotten the chance to hold one. "Yeah, Mom, Liam is in good hands. Now you two have a fun night and relax." I grin. Mom hesitantly looks at Liam one last time, before Ren calls for her by the front door. "Come on, woman. Liam will be fine, and the driver has already honked at least a dozen times." Ren says. "Mom, just go. Cal wants you to enjoy yourselves tonight. Our treat." I smile. Mom sighs out in defeat. "All right, thank you, I love you. Take care of my baby." "I will." "I was talking to Calvin," Mom says as she walks out the front door. I can't help but giggle and watch as the black car pulls out of the driveway. "How long did you set them up?" I ask, turning to Calvin. He gives me a devious grin. "Well, they're going to the spa for a while, then dinner, then a movie." He glances down at Liam as he whines in Calvin's arms. "All day, really?" I blow out a soft breath. "You do understand that means I'm stuck babysitting today, right?" I knot my eyebrows. "We are." He corrects me, believe it or not, but I do know how this works. A smile grows on his face. I wish you would have told me before you just offered. I frown. I mean, I love Liam more than anything, but that doesn't mean I want to be his mom all day. I give Cal a pouty face. He sighs out loud, baby, his word is drawn out in a defeat way. I don't know what you want from me. I'm trying. I don't want anything. I say softly. Calvin bites his tongue and looks down at Liam. He quietly sits the baby in his bassinet and turns to face me yet again. Am I enough? He asks softly, knitting his eyebrows. Because I try so hard, and nothing I do ever seems to be good enough for you. His voice is dull, annoyed, and most of all hurt. Calvin, I say, my voice lowered. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. You make me so happy, and you always go above my expectations. I reach out and grab his hand. He raises an eyebrow. You're just still so young, he says softly, looking over my features and sighing out. He seems like he's talking more to himself than me. Gently, he reaches over and rubs his thumb over my bottom lip. Sometimes I forget you're a teenager, he sighs. But you seem to always remind me when something doesn't go your way. Yes. I roll my eyes and give him a soft smile. My eyes slowly land on his lips and my eyes flicker to his. He cups my cheek and leans down to kiss me, but before our lips touch I start to talk. Did you know that a man's lip color is the same color as the tip of his penis? Calvin pulls his lip between my teeth and knots his eyebrows together. How do you know that? I watch his eyes study my face. I know later he'll go to the bathroom and look for himself. He knows I know that too. I shrug. I read it on some interesting fact page on the internet. A smile grows on my face. I mean, it's pretty accurate with you, but I don't know about anybody else. Calvin chuckles. You're gross. He leans forward and gives me a gentle kiss on my lips. I'm sure if I looked at your history online, you would be just as gross. Calvin raises an eyebrow and looks me up and down. Are you accusing me of watching porn? He looks slightly offended. I didn't say that. I smile. Have you? Why would I watch someone else do that, when I can have you? He gives me a playful grin. Do you want to see? I never even play games or anything on my phone. It's okay, Cal. I'm not worried. I trust you. I grin. Liam begins crying, snapping my attention away from my mate. I pick the baby up into my arms and hug him against my chest. Almost instantly he relaxes, and I sigh out in relief. Once when I babysat my old neighbor's baby, it wouldn't stop screaming. I thought I was going to have permanent ear damage. I think I was giving the wrong boy attention. I say softly, turning back to Calvin. My body sways trying to rock my baby brother in my arms. He's due for a nap. Liam coos and looks around the room to the best of his ability. My eyes flicker back to Calvin, who has a smile on his face watching me intently. What? I knot my eyebrows, looking down at Liam and then back at the giant teddy bear of a werewolf. Nothing. He shakes his head and smiles. I was just thinking. I look at Calvin for a while, trying to figure out if I should believe him or not. However, I shrug it off. Arguing isn't on my to-do list today. Will you hold him so I can make him a bottle? I ask, looking up at Calvin and changing the subject. Of course, baby. He smiles. I roll my eyes and I hand him to Calvin as gently as possible. He isn't a newborn anymore, but he also is still too small to be rough with. You get to feed him. I wink, collecting one of his many bottles and the formula my mother prefers for him. After shaking up the bottle and getting it ready, I go back to Calvin, who is sitting on the couch now with Liam in his arms. Carefully I help situate Liam in his arms and he gladly takes the bottle. Cal, you have to hold the bottle up. I'm not that clueless when it comes to babies, Gray. He chuckles, shaking his head in the process. I smile, loving the way he's laughing and having a good time. Without worrying about anything. I know, I just wanted to make sure. Now, let him eat and then I'll be back to burp him, okay? I hold a hand up to turn back to the kitchen. Where are you going? Calvin knots his eyebrows. I let out a breath and give him a gentle smile. To make something for us to eat, I'm starving. I admit. Calvin and I have been running around making sure everything is going to be perfect for my parents, and I just forgot to eat. We can just go somewhere, he offers. However, I throw that idea out the window. We can't just get up and go, Cal. We have a baby. I point out. He blows out a frustrated breath. Fine, just don't make a huge mess like last time, Gray. He chuckles. I playfully roll my eyes and head into the kitchen to prepare brunch. Time passes by as I move about the kitchen to make brunch. Eventually, I end up with 2 omelets and a pile of bacon. The baby is asleep, Calvin mumbles softly, wrapping his arms around my stomach and pulling me against his chest. I take in a sharp breath. I should be used to him sneaking up on me by now, but I'm not. He always seems to take me off guard. I turn to him and carefully inspect his face. Did you burp him? I ask, knotting my eyebrows. Yeah, he chuckles. But he did more than just burp. He puked all over my shirt. Calvin motions towards his shirtless body. I scrunch my nose up and smile. Better you than me. Calvin chuckles softly at my remark and presses a kiss to my forehead. His finger traces my bottom lip, and I look up at Calvin with a grin. Are you all right? I wonder out loud. His eyes flicker from mine to my lips and then back to my eyes. I'm stressed, but I'll be fine. He admits softly. We still have to get you a dress. The ceremony has so much planning to do. I want to make sure everything is perfect for your family, and I have your friend Ally coming over tomorrow morning and… How long has it been since you've smoked? I ask. Calvin looks me over. I haven't since the day before everyone got here, Gray. I don't want to smoke around your baby brother. He admits. Calvin usually finds relief from his stress through smoking. I'm surprised he hasn't broken anything or hurt anyone yet. I'm proud of you, I mumble softly, rubbing his cheek. Calvin sighs out loud and rubs his hands through his hair. I'm so proud that he has just up and stopped to keep Liam from the smoke. He's thinking about more than just himself. But he deserves to just think about himself for once. Standing on my tiptoes, I press a kiss to his lips. After we eat, I can help you with some of that stress, no? I grin, nipping at his lower lip. Calvin chuckles and shakes his head playfully. Please, he mumbles with an appreciative growl. I want your mouth around my anything you want. Just please don't say that before I eat. I turn to him and grin. Calvin rolls his eyes and playfully flicks my forehead. What did you say about Ally? I ask, knotting my eyebrows and then proceed to suck some bacon crumbs from my fingertip. She should be here in the morning if she catches her flight. You told me that she was your best friend back home, and I didn't want her to miss it. He says softly, tugging my finger from my mouth and pushing it to my side. My eyes flicker to his jeans for a moment before looking back into his eyes. How in the hell can he have a reasonable conversation with me while he has a hard-on? However, Cal is so considerate. He took the time to plan all of this out for me. Not for him. If it were up to him, he would have planned the ceremony and didn't care if the people that he invited wouldn't have a way. You're the best. I grin. Calvin rolls his eyes. I like making you happy because the sex is really good, he says with a playful smile. Oh, and I guess I love seeing you smile too. Your happiness is my happiness. 51. One more chapter after this. My heart stops in my chest the moment that I wake up to a heavy body landing on top of mine. A quick memory of being taken flickers into my mind, but it's quickly faded with the familiar sound of my best friend's voice. "Gray?" she exclaims loudly. I tiredly move and exhale softly. Trying my best to push her off of me, I fail. "Get you fattest off my chest, ally," I wheeze, and I hear the laugh that reminds me of Wheezy from Dragon Tales. She climbs off my body and sits cross-legged on the bed, waiting for me to get up. "God," I rub my head tiredly, "what time is it?" I groan. I was up most of the night wide awake. My stomach aches, and my body feels raw because someone decided that last night would be a good night to get all of his anger and stress out. "It's 1 in the afternoon," she winks. Tiredly I wipe the sleep from my eyes and inhale deeply. My best friend eyes me up and down, and I know she knows what Calvin and I did hours ago. Yet she doesn't mention it. "What's up, loser?" I smile. All I want to do is crawl back into bed, but my best friend is here. I've missed her more than anything. I throw my arms around her and pull her into a tight hug. "Oh? Nothing much. I've just been on this tour of this huge house, wondering why this is the first time I've been invited over." She grins like a maniac. I roll my eyes. "I know, and I apologize for that. Geese, I'm starting to sound old like Calvin. But we'll hang out a lot more, I promise." I hold out my pinky like we used to do in elementary school. She smiles and wraps her little finger around mine. "You can't break a best friend promise," she reminds me. I roll my eyes and exhale softly. "I never have. 13 years of friendship is a lot, especially when you've never let the other one down. Even if it hurts me, I always do my best to keep my promises to her." There's a knock on the door, and my head flings to the doorway to meet Calvin's eyes. He's shirtless, and there's a clear hickey on the side of his neck. After tomorrow, it'll be a real mark. He's leaning against the doorframe, wearing low-hanging sweatpants and a playful grin as he looks me over. His eyes flicker to ally for only a brief moment before they are back on me. I can hear my best friend's breathing hitch at the sight of him, and a satisfied smirk grows on my lips. "Mine. I'm glad you're still alive," Calvin says, looking at ally. I give a confused look. He turns back to me. "I warned her about waking you up." He chuckles. "Cal watches us for a moment. I need you to get up and get ready. You, ally, and Benjamin are going out to find a dress for your ceremony tomorrow." I glance at ally, who wiggles her eyebrows. "You can take my card, but Gray, I need you to stay by Ben." "Okay?" he asks, nodding his eyebrows and walking to me. I smile. "If that's okay with you," I point out the fact that he's always so jealous of Benjamin. Cal rolls his eyes and presses a kiss to my forehead. "Only for today," he assures me, leaving me in the room with ally shortly after. "You're making me so nervous," I say softly, giggling in Calvin's arms as I try to pull out of them. He hugs me closer and runs his nose over my cheek. "How?" He presses a kiss to my nose and I look up into his eyes. I don't know when he decided to put a shirt on, but I appreciate it since my best friend was nearly drooling over him. "You treating this ceremony like it's a wedding?" I frown, looking his facial features over. "To the pack, that's what it is," he says without blinking. "I do intend on marrying you one day, so don't think that this is it." He gives me a assuring smile and kisses me gently on the lips. "Do you smell that?" Ally asks, walking out of her room and into the hallway where we are at. I turn to her and knot my eyebrows. Calvin wraps his arms around me and I watch his nostrils flare. "It isn't me," I assure him. A sigh escapes him and he looks around. "What does it smell like?" "Like something I could have every day and not get enough of it." She explains. Calvin and I look at each other at the same time and smiles break loose on our faces. I think you just led Ben straight to his mate. I link to Cal. He grins. You can start calling me Cupid. Go look downstairs. There's nothing up here but us. I smile. She knots her eyebrows, but makes her way downstairs. Once she's out of earshot, I look up at Cal. So, I guess you're going dress shopping with me. I grin, pressing a kiss to his chin. Ally is going with you, hey? I stop him, give Ben a break and let him enjoy himself. Besides, I want your opinion anyways. I give him a playful wink and earn a groan in return. Fine. He kisses me briefly and inhales. His heart skips a beat as I rest my hand over his chest and feel it through his hot skin. After an hour of searching, I finally find a few dresses that aren't covered in flowers or are a typical red. I unlock the dressing room door and carefully smooth out the fabric on my body. I love it so much. I just don't know what Calvin will think of it. The fabric hugs my skin, not too tight, but enough to show off my figure. On each side of the dress is a long slit from the bottom all the way up to my hips. It's simple, yet so beautiful. What about this one, Cal? My voice is soft, because I'm terrified of what he'll say. He has told me all the dresses I've tried on looked good, but some of them he made clear that he didn't want that much of my boob showing to anyone. However, I don't have any boob in the first place. Calvin turns, and my heart beats faster than ever. I watch his eyes rake over the dress, taking it all in. Every single detail. His hand shakes as it lifts to rake his fingers through his hair. Wow, is the only word he utters. Nothing more. Nothing less. His eyes stay locked on me, as he tries his best to put words in his mouth. Is it bad? I knot my eyebrows and spin in a circle. Wow could mean a lot of things. No, no, no. He shakes his head and grabs my arm, tugging me against his body and feeling the fabric. It's like it was made for you. He presses a kiss to my nose and I giggle. Is this the one you want? He asks, pulling away, and I smooth the dress out. I turn to look at myself in the mirror and blow out a slow breath. The image staring back at me isn't the little teenager that used to be there. Instead, she's replaced by a woman. A leader. A Luna. 52. I'm the first person to wake up the following morning. I lay tiredly against Calvin's exposed chest. I'm too warm to crawl out of bed, and way too nervous to go back to sleep. His breaths are slow and have a steady rhythm. One that will never get old. Although Cal has already marked me, the ceremony that will happen tonight will mark our official future together as leaders of the packs. I try my best to hold on to my sleep, studying my mate like I usually do before I shut my eyes and begin to dream. His sleeping form is the most peaceful. The creases on his forehead from stressing too much has faded, and the permeate frown on his face has turned into a baby-like pout. If he wasn't asleep and I wasn't worried about waking him up so early, I would kiss them. His face's cheeks are littered in stubble that he hasn't shaved in a few days. I'm sure today will be the day it'll become bare again. Gray, he says softly, not opening his eyes. He tugs me closer to him and rolls to his side. I snuggle my head into the crook of his neck and toss my leg over his hip. Minutes pass of me waiting for him to say something else. However, it never happens. It takes me a while to realize that he is asleep. He was asleep when he whined my name and tugged me closer. I smile, because it's the sweetest thing. I am so eternally grateful to the moon goddess for blessing me with such a man as Calvin. I don't deserve him. He has shown and given me more love than he has experienced in his entire existence. I trace my finger over the rough hairs on his chin, taking my time with it. Every second spent touching Calvin sends a million different tingles through my veins. My thumb runs over his pouted lip, and he snuggles closer to me. I smile. Calvin constantly tells me and himself that he is bad. In all reality, he's one of the best men out in this world. He may do bad things sometimes, but he doesn't do it for his own enjoyment. He is taking care of the rest of the world, by doing what he needs to in order to protect them. My hands slide up into his hair, gently pushing it from his face. Cal really needs a trim, but I enjoy the unprofessional rugged look. I feather light kisses on his forehead, and slowly make my way to the tip of his nose. However, before my lips connect with his nose, he moves his head and captures my lips with his. A sleep-filled chuckle fills the room, and his chest vibrates against me. I kiss him again, and again, before finally pulling away from him. "Good morning," he mumbles softly. Calvin's voice is thick and filled with sleep. It's one of my favorite sounds that come from him, and I can't wait to hear it until the end of time. He nuzzles his head into the nape of my neck and presses a kiss on my skin. I giggle when his scruff rubs against the tender part of my neck. "Stop it," I giggle, pushing his head from my neck, "that tickles." Calvin chuckles and pulls his head back, looking my face over. The smile playing on his lips is goofy, and so attractive. My heart nearly skips a beat. "Only if you agree to shower with me." He gives me a playful wink. I roll my eyes and give him a questionable look. "I'm not sleeping with you. I wasn't planning on it. I want you to be able to walk for your ceremony, no." My mouth falls open as I look at him. "We're saving that for tonight." He winks. "You have no filter, do you?" I shake my head and giggle. Calvin smiles widely and runs his hands over his face. After a few moments, he climbs out of bed and stretches his arms over his head. I watch his muscles strain. His boxers are tight and I roll my eyes, resting my head against the pillow. Is this like a everyday thing? I can't help but giggle at him. Calvin has no shame. He looks down at me and pulls his lip between his teeth, stifling a laugh of his own. "I have a very vivid mind, love." He turns his back to me and starts towards the bathroom. "The fact that you only ever sleep in underwear and have a ass like a goddess doesn't help." He chuckles. "I can't help that you're so hot," I say tiredly, climbing out of bed. Calvin turns to face me and grins. "I know, everyone struggles to come to terms with how attractive I am, no." He wiggles his eyebrows. "I was talking more like temperature-wise, but yeah. Ally really made me mad yesterday, because she kept drooling over you because you didn't have a shirt on." I frown. Calvin kisses my pouted lips. "Sounds like someone got a little jealous, no?" Obviously, I roll my eyes and feel the water. It still isn't warm enough. "But you always get jealous." Calvin cups my face with his large hands. "What kind of man would I be if I didn't get jealous of who's looking at my woman?" I blow out a breath and look up at him. I can't help but like that he's so possessive and how he gets jealous. Yet, at the same time, I hate it. However, I can't ask for anything different. I love Calvin, no matter what. I give him a quick kiss on the cheek before tugging my shirt over my head. My hands cover my breasts because it's freezing in here. Cal raises an eyebrow at me. Clearly he doesn't like what I've done, and I know he has some cocky comment to say. Yet, instead of saying it and embarrassing me, he just presses a kiss to my forehead and mumbles a soft "I love you" against my skin. Cal and I spent the rest of the morning running around, making calls and trying to make sure everything was completely ready. I look at the black material, covered with plastic, and let out a sigh. Calvin had refused to pay for the dress I wanted, unless I got it adjusted. The slits were too high up for his liking, and my own. I take in a deep breath and glance at Cal. "Where is everyone?" I ask. Since Cal and I have been back from running around, the house has been completely silent. They are getting ready for the ceremony at the pack house. He shrugs casually. I nod my head slowly and look Calvin over, thinking. What time is it? We are going to eat before, so I need you to be ready to leave the house by 6. He mumbles softly, pressing a kiss to my forehead and looking me over. I have some phone calls to make. I'll be in the other room if you need anything. I nod my head and quietly make my way upstairs. Calvin had offered to pay someone to do my hair and makeup, but I declined. I don't like other people changing my appearance. I don't like what other people do because it isn't the way that I want it. I hardly ever wear makeup, but when I do I want it to be from me. Not someone else. After an hour of curling my hair and doing my makeup, I look at myself in the mirror and let out a sigh of relief. I look good. Better than I thought, actually. I quietly tug off my shorts and step into my dress. Fuck, I hear the choked words of Calvin from behind me. I turn my head towards him and feel my cheeks burn hot. He tugs at the collar of his shirt and swallows. You're making it really hard to even show up to dinner. I thought you were still on the phone. I blink. He's so sexually frustrated with me and I find it so funny. However, I'm sort of scared for what he has planned for the after party. Will you zip me up? I give him an innocent smile and bat my eyelashes at him. The dress looks more appropriate now. He says with a smile, coming up behind me and resting his hot hand against my bare back. I sigh in relief. Slowly, he drags the zip up my back, the dress tightening around my waist as it goes up. Exhaling slowly, I turn to Cal and smile. It's 5:50. What are you supposed to be wearing? I knot my eyebrows. Currently, he has no shirt on and he's wearing a pair of basketball shorts. So beautiful. He mumbles, running his eyes over me, making it as obvious as daylight. I smile and cup his cheeks in my hands. I love you so much, Cal. I grin, kissing his cheek. Go get dressed so we are not late, yes. He sighs in defeat. Yes, The car ride is silent. After a while in the car, Calvin's hand quietly slides off the steering wheel and rests on my thigh. He looks nervous. He smells nervous. So, I'm going to assume that he's nervous. What are you so worked up about? I ask quietly, as if anyone could hear us. Cal turns to face me for a split second before facing the road again. I'm not. He says dryly. I know that he is now. He gets so defensive when I call him out on things. Especially when he's already upset. Don't lie to me, Cal. I frown. He glances over at me and lets out a sigh in defeat. It's a lot of things, Gray, honey. He admits. Most of all, I just want this to be perfect. You know. I watch his grip on the steering wheel tighten, and I quickly rest my hand over top of his to try and ease his nerves. I know, and it will be. I assure him, kissing the back of his hand softly. Calvin blows out a quiet breath. We are here. He says abruptly. Cal shuts the car off and quickly opens my door for me. I give him a goofy smile and look up at him as I slide out of the car. The restaurant is big, light-colored, and the outside of it smells divine. I can't wait to see what the inside looks like. Turning to Cal, I knot my eyebrows. Have you ever eaten here before? I wonder. He gives me a grin. Of course I have. The owner is an old friend of mine. I open my mouth to ask him who, but he cuts me off. Let's go in and eat, yes. Cal reaches between us and intertwines our fingers together. I smile widely up at him as we walk in hand. The waiter, no older than 16, greets us with a large smile. Name? He asks, looking Calvin in the eyes. It's clear the boy is human, we are in the human part of town. Harris, he says, squeezing my hand a little tighter when the guy's eyes flash to me. I lean my head against Cal's shoulder as the boy skims through the names until he finds Calvin's. Oh. Right this way, sir. He leads us through the front of the restaurant, where many couples dressed in nice clothes are eating, to a private room. Upon opening the door, I am surprised to see my family, Ally and Benjamin, sitting at the table. Their smiles grow as we walk into the room and take our seats. I give Calvin a questionable look, and all he does is give me a smile in return. I love your dress. Ally chimes, clinging onto Benjamin for dear life. I smile, thanking her. She rests her head on his shoulder, and they seem to go back to their own little world. You look so beautiful. Mom grins. She places a hand on my shoulder and pushes hair from my face. Your mom's right, Gray. Ren says, smiling. You've turned out to be such a strong, beautiful woman. I know your dad would be so proud of you. He lets out a soft sigh, and I give him a gentle smile. I know he is, I smile, assuring him that he didn't make me upset by bringing him up. I know you may not believe it because I never say it, but I look up to you like a father. I can't thank you enough for taking care of my mom, and I smile. I love you. Ren is taken off guard. I watch Ren take my mother's hand and intertwine their fingers together. My heart skips a beat because it's so cute. Calvin clears his threat, and my attention snaps to him. Slowly, he rests his large hand on the table over top of my own and rubs his thumb over my knuckles. I haven't been completely honest with you, Gray. His voice is soft, low, like he doesn't want to be heard. My heart sinks. He lied to me. About what? Millions of questions go unanswered as the silent pause between us gets longer. My eyes search his for an answer, but I come up with nothing. Finally, he opens his mouth to speak. It's not that bad, I promise. He gives me a reassuring smile. It's just, your ceremony isn't tonight. It won't be for another few years until you come of age. I knot my eyebrows. So, you stressed me out over nothing. I blink. I'm not mad, just a little frustrated with him at the moment. I've been panicking this whole week, because I was afraid of today. Today isn't even happening. I know you wouldn't have agreed to come here and eat dinner, if I would have just asked you to. He gives me a smile. He isn't wrong. I would have just asked to go to McDonald's for dinner. But, we did come here for a good reason. Have I told you how beautiful you look in that dress? He changes the subject. I look down to inspect my dress, wondering why he just pointed it out of nowhere. Calvin kisses the back of my hand and inhales deeply. I wish I could wear it for more than one occasion. I say with a pout on my face. He stands from his chair, clutching my hand between his larger ones. And you will. He assures me. My heart nearly stops at his next move. Calvin kneels down beside me, his lips rest against the backs of my hands briefly. Passe-moi, petit loup tears form in my eyes as the words he speaks in French sink in. I smile. Monsieur ist toi pour toujours. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more amazing content like this.